This is Sirius XM Patriot. Patriot 125. 125. The heartbeat of conservatism.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Mike Church Show. I'm Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, former lieutenant governor of Maryland, sitting in for my friend Mike Church. It's good to be in his hot seat for a while, and it's good to be a part of the conversation with a lot of you. We want you to be on tap with us at 866-957-2874. That's 866-95-PATRIOT. We've been having this sort of expansive conversation about the Republican Party and the dynamics of 2014 and 2016, and I ended the last segment talking about the power we have as people, that we cede too much to government, that we cede too much to those folks that we elect them and then we walk away and we trust them to get it right. And as they have shown us over the last 40 years, they are incredibly good at getting it wrong. And never more has that been brought to our attention than what we see happening with the NSA program that has been very quietly, until recently, spying on the American people. Let's call it what it is. Tapping their emails, tapping their chats, their web searches, tracking them. And as it was reported yesterday, and here's just another element of this craziness that we have to live with, the agency NSA, National Security Agency, has adopted or has part of its program one called X-Key Score, which was just revealed to us. Now, the X-Key Score program is the widest reaching system that the agency has, and allows analysts without prior authorization to dig around the database by filling out on an open screen a form that just gives them a basic justification to tap your emails. You know, the implication is that the NSA's collection is arbitrary and unconstrained is false. That's their response. But the fact that they're doing this, we don't know about it, to me is very troubling. So I've asked someone who has come up with a very, very unique response in technology to push back. And I think, quite frankly, because I use it, will be a very, very effective tool in the arsenal of the American people in dealing with a very aggressive government when it comes to our privacy rights. He is Harvey Boatler, who is the chairman of Seecrypt Group, Inc. And Seecrypt has developed an app for the average consumer to prevent eavesdropping with highly secure protection on phone and text messages. Their technology allows companies and individuals to talk over a secure private network with end-to-end encrypted communication that changes keys with every message you send. So it's the randomness of it. It's the inability to actually capture that conversation. It also uses unique per-call encryption technology that is virtually interception proof. Harvey, welcome to the Mike Church Show. It's really good to have you on with us, man.
Michael, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Good
morning. You have developed a very fascinating application, which I think is going to have the potential to have a profound impact for the consumer when it comes to protecting their privacy, protecting their information. Tell us a little bit about what you've developed.
Well, that's right, Michael. I mean, we've had this under development for 5 or 6 years in the background, initially for military applications, and we've recently, in the last year or so, moved it into the consumer space with a much more broader development effort towards a consumer-driven, application, which is just basically more user-friendly. But it has the same extreme level of encryption underneath. And so, as you rightly say, any two devices with the app on can communicate between those two devices with extremely strong encryption, per message or per call, that will give users that assurance that their conversations are truly private.
So when I was going to say, so when a journalist is talking to their source, which has been in the news lately, that if they're using this app, if they're using this technology, the government just can't tap into that.
Well, this is right. It effectively does two things. One, it gives you a good degree of protection over your metadata, and this is the data that the cell phone companies use to bill you. So whilst we would know that journalist is logged on to the Seecrypt network, they wouldn't be able to tell who he's called. And obviously we have, millions of transactions going through each month. And the second thing is the call is actually protected. So it's encrypted data. So even if they manage to intercept the call, it would take them years, tens of years, to decipher what was actually going on in that call. And of course, if the journalist made a second call, they would have to start that process again.
So what's been the response to your technology? Have you gotten that phone call in the middle of the night, or?
Well, the response has been absolutely massive. I have to tell you, initially from many countries overseas, because in many countries overseas, and call these countries that the US also does business in, interception is widespread,
right?
And so this is not new news. And then obviously with the Snowden revelations, which I think we've understood were probably the case for a while,
right?
The US public has logged on massively, and we now have a massive increase in downloads over the last month and a half, and we have downloads in 215 countries now.
Interesting.
This is where the app has been downloaded, so it's very broad application.
So what's your take on the Snowden case? And I'm not going to ask you whether or not he's a hero or a villain, but just the principle behind what the U.S. government is doing. And what I mean by that is I've sort of divide this into two sectors. The first is the pre-Snowden period, and the other is the post-Snowden period. The pre-Snowden period is what we didn't know. The post-Snowden period is what we now know about what the government is doing. And then you have coming online this X-Key Score program that is also even more invasive and aggressive than what we've seen heretofore. What's your take as you're looking at technology in the out years post these developments? How do you see this market changing for the consumer in protecting their privacy?
Well, I think the Snowden revelations are going to keep coming. What we're aware of is that there are many other countries that have much less sophistication than the United States, who do much wider intercept than has currently been revealed by Snowden. And so it's not uncommon in many other countries to see real-time voice call intercept, logging, storing, and ability to recall those conversations, in a pretty much near real-time basis. And of course, we haven't seen those revelations come out of, the Snowden files,
right,
so to speak, yet. But I think you're going to see more revelations to come. What this has done has, I think, woken up the world, to privacy. And, increasingly people have been, I think, over the last, 5 to 10 years, giving up their privacy for free, in many online applications. And suddenly they're starting to realize that their privacy has a value. And actually, they don't want to give it up for free, and they want it back. And in the case of the United States, I think there's, frankly, a bit of a breakdown in trust with the current administration. Clearly the National Security Agency there is to protect the security of the United States.
Right.
But they've been, they've put their hand in the cookie jar and decided instead of taking one, let's steal the whole cookie jar.
Let's take the whole
surveillance on everybody. And,
let's take the whole jar.
Let's take the whole jar. And, and I think the American people are smarter than perhaps the administration has given them credit for.
Exactly.
And people are saying enough is enough.
So what's next? What's next for you guys? Where does Seecrypt go from here in this now changing environment for encryption and privacy and et cetera?
Well, we've started by offering voice and message encryption on Apple and Android devices. In the next 2 months, you're going to see our product be broadened into Windows Mobile and BlackBerry devices. Then you're going to see a desktop product.
Wow.
And probably by the end of the year, you will see full encrypted email as well, end-to-end, global. Communications that are suddenly secure. And then we've got a whole bunch of other things planned for 2014, which I think will, move the game, ahead again.
Well,
and so we're offering, that, kind of security to people, and not just consumers, Michael. I think businesses also need this. I mean, you do an awful lot of international trade, and, a foreign nation could be intercepting, your U.S. corporations as well. So, they need this as much as the consumer.
Well, I appreciate what you guys do. I use the product, and it's just amazing just to know that, hey, you just can't get into this room. You can't get into my space now. The name of the company, folks, is Seecrypt. That's Seecrypt. What's the website so people can come check out what you guys are doing?
Literally www.seecrypt.com. And
Perfect.
They can check it out there, and you can download it for free. Give it a go. Tell us what you think.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I would highly recommend it to folks. Again, Harvey, thank you so much for being on the program and sharing a little bit of insight of how the everyday consumer, the average Joe and Jane out there, can begin to protect their privacy and communications from an intrusive government. We really appreciate you being on the program, my friend.
Michael, thank you very much.
All right,
Good
thank
day
you.
to you.
Take care of yourself. Folks, we're going to take a break.